data from the SunSystems ledger or from IPOS procurement information. If we click Ledger Inquiry, we have options here to allow you to choose for detailed transactional extraction or for summary totals. This would typically be done by choosing a ledger from within SunSystems, and we can choose from multiple different ledgers, whichever exist within your SunSystems environment, and then choose how the totals will be calculated. In this case, the default is by account, although we could add a selection to make subtotals by a number of different factors across the account or the ledger information. So things like T-code balances or transaction analysis balances, or potentially by things such as journal type. In this case, I'm going to extract information based on account totals. We can obviously choose across multiple business units within SunSystems, and there are many other selection criteria that can be applied. So we can look at account information, transactional information such as accounts, periods, transaction references, etc., along with journal information, allocation, assets, account analysis, transaction analysis. There are many options. So in this case, I'm just going to extract based on pure account balances across my entire ledger. You'll see that the transactional extraction in Archive Inquiry is exceptionally quick, even on high transactional volumes. In this case, you can see I now have a set of account balances, and this could be the information I'm looking for. However, if I wish to, I can drill down into this information by clicking on any of the totals. So if we took my service sales values here, if I double click, this will then give me a list of all the transactions that make up the balance that I was just looking at. So you can now see a selection of various ledger transactional fields such as period, journal number, journal line, etc. If we wanted extra columns in this selection, we can right click and then choose to edit the column structure. This then presents all of the possible fields available within your ledger transaction and additional fields coming from the account information, and even things such as suppliers for addresses and other information such as that. So I can bring into the grid data that is from both the account side, reference data side, and the transactional side of the inquiry. So if we go to General here, I may want allocation markers. Perhaps I want to bring in the debit credit symbol. Maybe I want to bring in the journal name or the journal type, something like that. So any of these fields are available to me. So if I then run this extraction, we'll now see that I will have the extra columns appearing in my extracted grid. So once we've extracted the transactional information we're after, bearing in mind that Advanced Inquiry and Archive Inquiry are both inquiry tools rather than structured reporting tools, I can then manipulate the data in a number of ways. If we look at the column headers, I can sort up and down by any of the columns just by clicking on them. I do have extensive filtering capability, so this could be by data sitting within the column, or I could use the custom filter. And this means I can choose to make some logical arguments about data within the column. So if I was looking for something that contains maybe sales, that would then go and filter the information based on that criteria. Down at the bottom, we can see now I have a continuation of this filter. I can turn it on and off at any time, but I can also customize it more extensively to allow for multi-column filters. So you're able to add as many different arguments to the filter as you like, and then choose across any of the columns that are available within the grid. So I could do period equals something as well as description containing sales. So it's a very flexible and easily used customization there. Within the grid, we also have the ability to move columns around, reorder them any way we wish, and we can also group and produce subtotals where required. So if I wanted to see a summary by period, if I drag this here into the grey area and let go, you'll now see that we have the summary of the grid based on the periods that existed within it here, and I can see the transactions just by opening up a little node there. This can be continued in the form of a pivot table. So if I wanted to then see it by transaction date, if I drag that up as well, I now have period by date information, and again the totals. We can turn the subtotals on or off if we wanted to, and we can turn the totals on or off if we wanted to. So a very flexible, easy environment for manipulating and understanding the data within the ledger. We can extract information into Excel from Archive Inquiry. So here we have the ability to just drop our notebook directly into Excel using whatever formatting we've actually had on the screen at that point. And using the advanced export function, we can also format the exported worksheet with various colors, with headings, with data rows, etc., to make it look more attractive or in a form that we feel is appropriate. We also have an extraction called a pivot grid. This is where columns within the actual extraction can be dragged into these grid tables for a column and a header, and then we can see data using that sort of pivot grid functionality. So for example, if I take journal type, add it into my data row, maybe I want period into my data column, we can actually bring data through into this new pivoted format to see the information as we feel fit. So another quite powerful piece of functionality within the system. If we move back to a general extraction, we do actually have the ability to tile our windows, so we can see multiple extractions and the drill downs that we've made from that on the same page. We can also tile it up and down, left and right, so this means we could look at totals and drill down extraction of those totals on the same screen, which is quite a useful piece of functionality. And if I go back to my grid, we can actually, from within here, drill to source transactions that may be sitting within another professional advantage system, such as CSB data or bank rec data, if you've got some allocations that have occurred there. And we can apply extensive filters on the selection. We can sort and actually maintain custom drills to other SQL databases as well, where there is a reference that is relevant for this. So advanced inquiry, very easy to use, very useful. We can actually run multiple inquiries at the same time, and we can also save an inquiry. So if I wanted to save this, I could go and add a new folder. These folders are at the database level. I could give it a name, so I call this demo 1. And when we save this, it will be held within a folder and we can run the inquiry at any time. So this means it's very easy to reuse inquiries within Archive Inquiry. So I could actually go File and Open, and this would then show me my folders. I could go and find demo 1 and run this, and it would extract the data in the way that I had originally configured. So it is reusable, and we can control access to these folders for different user groups within your organization. If you did use IPOS, Archive Inquiry does have the ability to look at archived data from that system as well, because it does reside within the single SunSystems database environment. So we can bring out data related to potentially invoices, requisitions or purchase orders, etc., and do the same sort of manipulations and selection across various areas of the transactional data. So here, invoices, I could actually extract all of my invoices from IPOS. Here I've got a few, and this is showing me IPOS data, so unit cost, quantity, value, things like that. So if you do have a situation where you were historically using IPOS against SunSystems and you've moved away to a new ERP, you can use this to see the history of procurement data that still exists within your SunSystems database, as well as drilling down into the ledger data within the SunSystems environment. So Archive Inquiry, similar to Advanced Inquiry, a very powerful tool, very flexible and easy to use. There's very little training in relation to Archive Inquiry. Most people can pick up how to use it very, very quickly, and certainly something to consider in terms of allowing you access to that historical transactional information that you may not have migrated to your new ERP without having to maintain your SunSystems application environment for historical purposes.